Evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday, July 10th, 6 p.m. Town Board meeting called to order. First item on our agenda is going to be a public hearing for Jeremy Pavelski, 4390 Deer Road, application to rezone from agricultural to R2 residential at 2.0 acres from a newly created certified survey map number 0701005. And as with any public hearing, I'll ask anybody wishing to speak against the rezoning to speak first, and then I'll ask for those that wish to speak in favor of, and then we'll close the hearing and move to our regular agenda items. Excuse me. Anybody wishing to speak against the rezoning? Anybody wish to speak against the rezoning? Third and final time, anybody wish to speak against the rezoning of the 2.0 acre parcel at 4390 Deer Road? Parcel 0701005. Hearing none, I'll call that the negatives part closed and ask for anybody wishing to speak in favor of. I know there's three people back that are probably in favor of.
We're in favor, yeah. We're just looking at the parcel off portion of the land, 2 acres, actually for parents to build on the southern end of the property. So I would encourage to support that, please.
Okay.
Way southern.
The far end.
Anybody else wish to speak in favor of? Anybody else wish to speak in favor of? Hearing not, we'll call that portion closed, and we'll actually close the public hearing, move to the regular. Excuse me, I'm apparently have a frog. First item on the agenda will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Dan, would you care to lead tonight? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 2, approval agenda.
Make a motion to approve the June meeting minutes.
And that is item 3. Motion by Andrew to approve the minutes, seconded by Bill or Dan?
Yep.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes of, what dates did we have? June 12th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Item 3, public comment period. People wishing to address the board limited to 2 minutes each. Public comment limited no more than 30 minutes. Anybody wish to speak this evening? Go ahead.
Still haven't heard anything back from the Police and Fire Commission. That was April 30th.
I think we did have contact with him, and he said he's
did.
been out of town, but he would take care of it shortly. Primarily out of the country, I
He
guess.
was out of the country for quite a while, but he said he's on it, and he apologized for the delay. Hopefully soon.
Anybody else wish to speak? Hearing none, we'll call the public comment period closed and move to fire. First reports will be the fire department. We'll ask Assistant Chief Bob Pyatt to fill us in. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening. Fire department report for June. We're currently staffed with 40 fire EMS members. We do have 2 new participants in our non-structural firefighter program, so that's encouraging. 5 EMS members, 20 of total members trained for EMS. As always, we're always looking for good members for fire and EMS. Any interest, contact the fire department, town hall, or the fire department cell phone, 213-2961. Last month, we responded to 40 calls. The breakdown on the 40 calls, we had 25 EMS calls, 1 structure fire, 1 landing zone, 3 car accidents, 2 power lines down, 2 burn complaints, one CO call. We went to the beer and mill 3 times. We had a boat rescue and an ATV fire, so we've had a busy month. Our training last month for EMS, we went down to United Ambulance and we did stroke protocols, and then we did ATV, UTV training with United. And for fire, we did some drafting, dump tank, and pumping operations. Department held one department meeting, one department officer meeting, one training meeting. Public relation programs we have going. Our smoke detector program is still going on, so anybody interested in free smoke detectors, contact the fire department, and that's the program through the Red Cross. Our address sign program, we've been getting a lot of orders for those lately. And we sent a EMS work detail down for the 4th of July fireworks. Since the last report, there's been no injuries.
Thank you. Any questions? There are none. Thank you. And that was a safety report too. We'll then call on Police Chief Mel Peterson for the Police Department report. Evening, Chief.
Evening. Evening, everyone. Okay, Grand Rapids Police Department handled 377 calls for service for the month of June. This compared to 404 calls for service in June of last year, about a 6% decrease in calls, and the board members should have a breakdown of those calls. For the first 6 months of 2018, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 2,180 calls for service, which compared to 2,244 calls for service during the same time frame last year. This represents about a 2.8% decrease in calls. For this last month, the police department issued 66 traffic citations, 7 municipal ordinance citations, and 35 written warnings for the month. The Grand Rapids Police Department would like to welcome Officer Cody Stankowski to our part-time officer ranks. Officer Stankowski started his FTO syllabus with us on June 5th. Yeah, he is the first candidate selected from the list of applicants that we interviewed earlier this year. On June 5th, the officers of Grand Rapids Police Department conducted firearms training at the Wisconsin Rapids Police Range. The firearms training included the handgun qualification and also rifle training at that time. On June 14th, I attended the Mid-State Technical College Disaster Recovery Plan tabletop exercise at the Mid-State Technical College. This tabletop exercise focused on cyber attacks, which is a pretty hot topic right now, and was conducted to ensure that their disaster recovery plan is able to effectively guide them through their response to emergencies and disasters while minimizing interruptions to normal operations. History has proven that the need for advanced planning, organization, and training to minimize the effects of all these emergencies, whether they're natural or man-made. In this case, cyber attacks are usually man-made. On June 22nd, Officer Stankowski and Officer Conover attended overdose prevention training provided by the AIDS Resource Center of Wisconsin. This free 1-hour training taught them how to recognize the signs of an overdose, the steps to administer naloxone or Narcan, and how to save a life. Once trained, Officer Stankowski is now able to carry Narcan while on duty to save lives for those overdosing on heroin. This was just a refresher training for Officer Conover. On June 9th, the Grand Rapids Auxiliary assisted with the 8th Annual Renaissance Race Against Cancer, the 5K run walk. The auxiliary assisted with traffic control along the route portion that was here in Grand Rapids. The majority of the route is in Wisconsin Rapids, but we got a short distance here in Grand Rapids. Vehicles in the department are doing well outside normal preventive maintenance. We did receive our 2018 Charger finally, and but now we have to wait to get it into and have it equipped. So it's going to be another short delay, but at least we have it here. Once again, if you have any questions, concerns, or just want to talk, feel free to stop by.
Thank you. Any questions?
At the Charger, that was an all-wheel drive?
Yes.
This time? Okay.
Yep.
Dan?
Last, June 9th, we had our firefighter picnic, and I want to thank you and your officers who came and just walked through once in a while, talk to people, just maintenance appearance.
Oh, good.
Very welcome to see him in the whole day. I enjoyed it, but it was nice to
Yeah,
see him there several times throughout the day.
yeah, good. Good. Glad we did.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Treasurer Amy Cook.
Good evening. For the month of June, current month receipts actually went into the negative, $920.69. We did issue a cashier's check for the new squad, and that is the reason that it did hit that negative number. So that was a cashier's check for $24,295, and which then brings our current month disbursements to $241,109, and cash on hand at the end of the month was $801,937, with $105,363 in checking, $410,892 in the repo account, and $317,530 in the money market. Any questions?
Any questions? Hearing none, thank you very much, Amy. Item 6, consider the approval of Resolution 2018-22, the application to rezone Jeremy Pawlowski from agriculture to R2, 2.0 acres for a newly created survey map, original parcel 0701005.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Patty, seconded by Dan. Any discussion? Go ahead.
I was just wondering at the zoning meeting last, at the plan meeting last night, was there approved?
Yeah.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. Item 7, consider an approval of Resolution 2018-21, a raise order, property at 4010 58th Street South, owned by Mary L. Hanson, parcel 0703296. You can see this was inspected by our building inspector, reviewed it and determined that it is beyond the 50% of the assessed value that it would need to be spent to bring it back into compliance. And there is a resolution that we would consider asking her to remove it.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2018-21, this raise order.
I'll second that.
Motion by Andrew, seconded by William. Discussion. Go ahead, Patty.
Let me see, fourth paragraph, it says the building inspector, Dale Bates,
Mm-hmm.
will be placing cards on this. Should we be changing that from Dale Bates to Sean Kern?
I would just say we should probably just note that it's Badgerland Home Consultants that would be
Just leave
doing it.
Dale Bates on,
Yeah.
if we can remove that.
We can strike the word Dale Bates. I would think that's, because it's actually Badgerland Home Consultants that is the contract holder, and someone from there will be. Okay?
And then my other question
Go ahead.
was there anyone living in this?
No.
Okay.
It's been empty for 3 years, maybe 4,
Yes.
at least. And it's been getting worse and worse every year. Now the doors are wide open, and kids are starting to play in it. And,
Okay. Thank you.
okay? Go ahead, William.
Yes, I went over several times and visited the property and the neighbors around, and it's about time. I was just wondering, did the town at any time ever mow?
No, we have not mowed our property. In the past, I think,
Two of the-
Bill Dance, a couple of local neighbors did mow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't particularly like to have our crew go on private property. Becomes an issue with our insurance carrier, indicated that to us.
So the ordinance that we have about people having grass over 8 inches did not come into play with this,
Oh,
or is that exactly why?
Oh, it did several times, and she was issued several tickets on it, and they were paid. And now it's, again, this year again. It's
The
not,
door's been ajar for 2 years.
well, that, actually, it's,
It don't work anymore.
yeah, it's more or less, that's a long and short of it. It's all beat up inside, it's terrible shape, so.
Mr. Chairman, do you need an amendment to my motion, changing the name?
I think we could consider your motion a friendly change to drop Dale Bates' name without an actual motion being made. Would that be acceptable?
Aubrey has a second.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all for the motion 2018-21, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. Okay. Item 8, consider possible approval of Officer Conover to attend field training officer training in Fond du Lac the 23rd to the 27th of July at $650.35. And Chief, this is in your budget, correct? Okay,
I'll make a motion that we approve Cody Conover going to FTO training.
motion Dan,
Second.
second Andrew. Discussion?
I do just want to mention, I did note on here that this is, it did note that this is mostly grant funded. This is a pretty expensive training, and I just want to point out to you, just thank you for finding grant funded training like that. This is, I know, an expensive training, but $50 a day is cheap in comparison to what it would be if we were paying full price. And this is partially grant funded by, looks like, the Department of Justice, so that's really good for a 40-hour training we pay on that.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Thanks, Andrew.
I have one question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay, just wondering, have all of our officers gone through this training now, or would that be the final one, or is there?
No, this is training that allows our officers to train other new officers, okay? So it doesn't necessarily mean that all the officers have to be trained in it, okay? Previously, we had Sergeant Drinkwine, well, Sergeant Drinkwine still is, and then we had Officer Anderson also trained. And then, of course, when he left, then, you know, it's good to have another officer, at least two, and then possibly down the line, if we can, you know, find the training and it fits in with our scheduling, you know, we could look at another officer, but we don't necessarily have to have every officer trained in it, so.
How long is this grant opportunity available for that?
That it's usually on a class by class, okay? So it's just a matter of finding the right class,
There you
you
go.
know,
Okay.
so.
Thank you.
One other quick question too, on the mileage. Would he be able to take a squad, or is he taking a squad, or?
Right, generally when we fill those out, we do worst case scenario for the board members, okay? So as we get to the date, you know, we're gonna take a look at our availability for squads, and if we do have a squad and don't have any that are down for maintenance or something, then yes, he will be able to take either a squad or possibly the Yukon, so, yep.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead, William.
You know, I voted for this, but one of the things I see that it does is improve person's resume and that much easier to lose people, so. Well, it's true.
Everything they train on, Bill, is that way.
Unfortunately, that is true.
And that's why I'm glad to see you, you know, get it through a grant, and, I mean, I'm voting for it, yes, but I just.
My other thought is hopefully by providing this type of specialized training, it's incentive for them to stay.
Yeah, right.
So,
The glass half full or half empty?
exactly.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye, any opposed? No opposed. And Ryan, consider an approval of fire chief vacancy being referred to the Police and Fire Commission.
I'm gonna make a motion that we forward the vacancy on to the Police and Fire Commission for them to begin their process.
The motion is made by Andrew, is there a second?
I'll second.
And the second is by Dan. Discussion.
Just to bring up too, on the side of, I know we'll probably talk about this when it comes to personnel, or Dan will, but as far as public safety goes with this, moving forward, we are working on redoing the job description.
Mhm.
I'm still waiting to hear back from a few people that I'm getting information from as far as the assistant chief and in regards to just additional stuff that we're gonna do this. We wanna make sure that we're doing it right. I do anticipate that will probably, I know that was somewhat of a hang-up last time when we discussed this in the meeting. I anticipate hopefully we'll have that worked out here within the next couple of weeks, hopefully prior to, yeah, hopefully prior to them even convening. So I don't think that's really gonna be a real big concern as far as getting that ironed out. By the time that they actually need that, I think we'll have that taken care of.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm sure.
Any other? Patty, I think I saw your hand first.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just wondering if the Personnel Committee did take a look at other opportunities that may be out there as far as maybe not going with a full-time fire chief. I just did a little research here, and right now Wisconsin Rapids currently has an interim fire chief, and we are in that same type of situation. And at this time, I think we should not miss the opportunity to review our needs for what the community, what our community needs. I'm asking that we don't rush to hire a permanent fire chief at this time until we look at all the information of what the needs of the town and what we can afford. Let's take a look at EMS numbers compared to fire call numbers, and let's take a look at the equipment in the area to see what the community needs. I think that if we don't take this opportunity and it's not evaluated correctly, we could miss a good opportunity. There's we could look at public safety directors, both overseeing the fire department, which would manage or reduce administration costs. That's an opportunity that state statutes allows, which would be Chapter 61 and Chapter 62. We could have a joint fire department like the ambulance committee, which would be under Chapter 61. We can do combined protective services, which is Chapter 61. You know, these are other opportunities that are out there that if we, there's two large areas in this area that have these interim fire chiefs right now that I think it's an excellent opportunity. Just don't to rush into something right now and take a look at what we could possibly do with this opening.
William?
Yes, I get into what she said, but I am also, I think this should be put on hold. I think we should have an intern officer right now. And I attended the meeting in which the personnel committee or the safety committee was going over the qualifications, and I don't think they changed a thing at the meeting. At that meeting, nobody had any suggestions, so I am voting against this. I think we should take another look at it and a hard look.
Okay, thank you. I can tell you that I will be voting for it, and the reason that it is we basically are a Metro Fire Department right now, whether anybody believes it or not. We're supplying services under contract to 2 municipalities, and if you look at it that way, that makes you Metro. We service half of the town of Saratoga and more than 2/3 of the town of Grant under contracts that bring in $155,000 plus to us out of basically 50% of our fire department's cost is covered by contracted service. So I don't know how we would run a department any more efficiently than by that. And the full-time chief has so many duties that so many people just don't realize it is. So I will be voting for it.
And just a quick point too, I kind of looked at and put a lot of thought into the safety director aspect in terms of what the differences are and looking at what other communities have done. And the issue I have with that, not that I think it's a bad idea, but I kind of have that in the fire department already, being that we have EMS, that we're providing an EMS service, but we're not a United Ambulance Service. We're not, if we had our own ambulance service where we had full-time ambulance personnel or people that were actually coming in for that purpose to run an ambulance, and then we had a fire department on top of it, and then obviously our safety committee stuff, I think that would be more appropriate. But being what we have, in that we are a volunteer agency, we are small, we do contract our ambulance, I don't believe that that title really fits what we have for our agency. I think that the fire chief title in terms of position fits well, and I'm definitely going to be voting in favor for this. I also want to make sure that, at least my point of this moving forward, I want other municipalities that contract with us to know that we are in favor of continuing to run and operate our fire department and keep things moving forward as efficiently and as best as possible for their needs and their communities, so they don't start thinking about backing out and going to contract with another place. I'm in full support of going forward with it, and I want to make sure that we are conveying that to these other municipalities. I sure hope that we would be doing that.
Dan?
Yeah, I heard your concerns, and we are addressing them. When I get down to personnel committee, we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll tell you the direction that we are going. I also will be supporting the moving forward on this. But with respect to the phone calls and other ideas that people have had, we will look into that. We're not going to be narrow-minded and just, same old, same old. We are going to look at the options, but we'll get into that at the personnel committee. But as far as getting them started, which is what the motion is, I think that just to get that process going, get them together, and by the time personnel, we will have a job description, I'm going to say by next week. We'll get that to them, we'll get them rolling, and we will also be working on other stuff also. So, and I will address that at personnel.
Any other comments?
One more comment too.
Go ahead.
And also, from what direction does the recruitment strategy comes from? Is it us to the Police and Fire Commission, or is it the Police and Fire Commission directing or informing us as to what their recruitment strategy is?
I think in the past, the last couple times that we had them involved with a replacement for the fire chief, was they internally posted it first to the local fire department members to see if there was interest, and if there was, they interviewed, and if there wasn't, then they went outside to do their search. So I would assume they would probably follow their same process that they've done for the last couple times. Other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Any opposed?
Opposed?
No.
2 negatives. Item 10, set wages for assistant fire chiefs who are fulfilling the chief's duties during vacancy, and that's first assistant chief is Mr. Mark Roosh. Sorry, I know Mark real well. And then Bob Byatt is the second chief. So, Dan, what was your thoughts on there? Or we?
Is this a discussion? Do we need a motion on this?
Yeah, we need a
Because
motion.
I would like to, I have an idea, but I don't want to set it.
We have a basic wage that we call a part-time employee wage, which is
$15.65.
$15.65 right now. If obviously I know what's involved. I've been there. I'm sharing some of the duties with them to try to keep things going. I think we should at least be paying them the same rate that we have.
So I'll just tell you my idea. I don't necessarily agree on setting a set wage for them. I would like to, I did ask both assistant chiefs to keep track of the time they're putting in. And I would like to look at it more as when we, Sergeant Drinkwine took over for kind of the fire chief position, or police chief, when we were searching, to do that search, get an idea, and then at that time, make it like a one-time, I don't want to call it, what we call bonus or one-time fee, instead of an hourly rate. That's just my idea. I'd like to see them proceed with that.
William?
Mr. Chairman, I would like a motion to refer this to the Personnel Committee so they can iron something out like that and make it what they want to this date, rectal back.
Is there a second to Bill's motion?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I'm just wondering, being that we have a police and fire commission, that they have the authority to hire and promote and discipline, is that part of their duties too, or is it our duty to
No.
set the wages?
Yeah, it's entirely, if you understand that they can suggest the hire,
Mhm.
they can discipline, but they cannot set a wage.
Okay.
So if they select a candidate, that candidate then meets with the board,
Mhm.
and the board decides to negotiate a salary with that person, then that's when the hiring process takes place. Now, speaking to, may I speak to the item that,
Yep.
I'd be against referring this to the Personnel Committee, because I'm a firm believer of paying for the work that is being done in a timely fashion as when it's being done. I think that they should at least be entitled to the minimum wage that we have for part-time personnel. And after the fact, if there's some additional thing that the board feels one way or the other as to over and above that, I'd have no problem with that. But I'm inclined to say that we should be at least paying for the labor as it's being done. Go ahead, Andy.
Just a quick question, so, the part-time wage would be for the hours that are worked.
Right.
Which they would be logging, correct?
In the office hours,
In the office hours.
nothing for on the
And
road
then
or
their
whatever.
calls separate of what they would normally get for responding to them, or going to a meeting, or going to
So-
another call would be separate of that?
This would be primarily only for office work done in the office.
Okay.
Okay, not for fire calls, not for any other, not for going on fire inspections or anything.
They would
We
still get their
strictly-
normal wages for those things?
Yep. Mhm.
Does this make them a employee then?
Well, they are employees now.
No, oh, I mean, well.
Only if they got to 2,000 and some
well, see,
hours.
that's where I was-
Oh, for like WRS.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if we get over
If
2,000
they got
hours.
over 2,000 hours, or whatever, I don't know what
Okay.
type it is, but yes.
Go ahead, William.
Chairman, speaking of
We should have we have a item on the table, so I wanted to, is there anything else on your motion you wish to speak to?
Yeah, yes, of course.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
You know, it seems strange that, and, you know, it was brought up at the fact that our assistant drink wine, what he was, we give him $1 an hour more, I guess, while he was filling in. And I even asked at the meeting that they had, so why is everything so different now that when the fire chief retired and we actually give him a leave of absence with pay because there was no other reason. We set a precedence here of giving people money for the last 2 weeks that they work and they don't have to work for it. And then there's no procedure if a fire chief was off. What would you do if a fire chief was off for a month with surgery or in a hospital? And you didn't have those plans. And now tonight, we're gonna do that? That's why I made a motion, to let them sit down here and think about it.
Okay, any other comments on the motion?
Can I reply to
You're still able to speak on the
So-
motion.
that? So two things that are incorrect. One, we didn't give drink wine just $1 an hour more per hour to fill in for chief. We made, we did give him, and I forget the dollar amount, it was a substantial amount of money at the end as for filling in. And the second thing, as far as there is no procedure, if the fire chief was sick, out of town, whatever, there is a standard operating procedure, bylaws at the fire department for a chain of command. It starts at the chief, it goes to the assistant chiefs, it goes to the captains, lieutenants, all the way down to the membership. So should he be gone for an extended period of time, should he not make a fire call or whatever, there is definitely a protocol in place for the leadership role.
Well, I
Yeah.
didn't want an argument, and he started an argument on this. It is not so, it is so that that drink wine got $1 more. At the end, he did a good job, so we give him more money.
Well, that's, whatever the
And
point,
he-
whatever the point
And I
is.
want to
The
see
point-
this
the point-
protocol that you have.
The point to the
bring
motion
it.
is to refer, can I have the floor back, please?
Certainly, go ahead.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded to refer this committee. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed? Aye. So they are, so it's referred to committee. Item 11, June disbursement vouchers. Any discussion, corrections, or not corrections? That would be bad if we had corrections on the vouchers. Hearing none, we'll move.
I-
Is there a question?
Yes, I have some questions, please. Can you, on page 8, we have the town website design. Can you elaborate a little bit more?
That's probably the fire
Fire
department,
department, I
that's the
believe.
fire department's
Okay.
optimization.
The upgrade, that the board approved it a couple months ago to
Okay.
spend that on the fire
Yeah, I
department.
didn't know if that was that. And then also, on page 9, there was $875 spent for a window for the case tracking.
Yeah, that was a broken window that was explained at the last meeting.
Okay, and that was that one.
And then we have a safety on it, safety glass on it now, or a shield.
Yeah. Page 11, we spent $6,778 on salt. Is that's not,
That's, the county bills us every so often, they
And
don't,
that's-
that doesn't necessarily mean that's our final bill.
okay, and we're just starting to stockpile it for this coming up year?
They're stockpiling it, we don't pay them
Oh.
until we use it.
Use it, okay,
It's, actually, they own the building,
okay.
it sits on our land, they fill it, and then we measure out the number of buckets we take, and then we report it to them, and then they bill us.
Okay, great, that's my only question.
Okay? Moving on to 12 operator licenses and renewals, do we have any?
Nope. I
None.
checked it today, no.
Okay. All right, we'll move to reports from committees. Public Works. Golf Course Road and the western part of Woodrock Avenue, the reconstruction is going to start on Thursday, with the gravel being placed on the road, and Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, the county will come in and shape, and blacktopping will be done whenever they can get back to it, which hope to be pretty soon. We did meet with a couple of residents at a meeting last evening and address some of the concerns that they had, which were very minor, and they're all looking for a nice road. A road in our area, Highway 13, that road construction started today, and that's going to continue on until October 1st. They're working on the eastern side first, from town of Saratoga this way, and then once that process is done, they will switch over and go then. So there still will be 2 lanes of traffic at all times. Traffic needs to be considerate of construction going on and drive accordingly. And I'm sure we'll have officers watching the area from time to time. Not so much in the town of Grand Rapids, but the county, I'm sure will be, because we have just a very little piece that's in Grand Rapids, from Tractor Supply to the
bridge.
bridge. Yeah, thanks, Andy. Also on Public Works, we also put out the 36th Street trip funded, partially funded bid request. That will be open at our August meeting. Otherwise, equipment's doing well. The white truck, I had to have a brake job done a while ago, but that's about all it. First brake job since we had it. Okay, any questions on Public Works? No plowing incidents this week, fortunately. That will move over to the Airport Commission. See where my notes are. The runway 220 and Apron project is just about, 1230, runway 1230. Paving is complete. majority of the underground electrical light work. It's going to be painted mid-July, and then as soon as the total amount of lights has been finished on it and they're hooked up, then that runway will get open. We had a pre-bid meeting for our runway parking areas. It's a $4 million state DOT funding. That bid is out in now, and it'll be open, I believe it is last week of July. Commission will then meet and determine if we're going to award the entire bid, or if we had a couple alternatives on there that's, so in case the bids came in too high, that we could drop off something from the wish list. Traffic for last month was pretty heavy. Jet traffic alone, we had 42 jets in, a good number of other aircraft, twin engines that were for visitors. Some of the visitors were for the paper mill that was changing hands. And some of the other visitors have been, from what we understand, people that are looking to do agricultural growing of products in our area. Jet fuel was a total of 16,000 gallons of jet fuel last month, at an average profit for us of $2.25. So you can assimilate that to be $35,000 worth of revenue. So we hope that this month it continues on. We did order a auxiliary power unit at our last commission meeting. It was about a $34,000 item. Some of these smaller jets come in, they don't have the auxiliary power units in their cabins, and they wish to be hooked up to stationary power. And this type of device is what it is, and it's a fee and a number of dollars per hour for the use of it.
So you guys will make money back on that over time?
It's a pretty long return, but the items live for.
These jets
We were
charged a lot for that.
Yeah, they will pay plenty. We were looking for good used ones, and we paid $34,000 for this. A good used one, as they said, good used, being it was 25 years old, and it was still $16,000 they were asking for them. So it got to the point you look at cost return, you might as well buy new and get a warranty on it for 5 years. Go ahead, Dan, question?
Can you hook up to more than one jet at a time with this?
You can with an adapter, yes.
Okay.
We didn't buy that adapter yet. We're looking at the options prices, and you could do a couple of smaller jets easily on it, ones that don't have the big usage, but yeah, they could be. The other thing we did is we replaced some of the furniture at the airport. Some of it was pretty antiquated. We did move some furniture downstairs, and we put some pedestal type of work tables in the main section, and that was done for about $2,500. So we did a little improvement to the building too this month. Any questions? If not, we'll move to recycling solid waste. Bill, do you have a meeting?
Nothing on that. Just preparing for the September 15th choose to reuse.
Okay. Plan Commission, Patty, I think you just met yesterday,
We
right?
met last night, and we had a 3-dog permit issued, and then the Bogoski's certified survey map, and also this evening for the rezoning. Also, we did a approval for certified survey map to combine 2 parcels, Mapledale Court. And then we had some discussion in regards to the comprehensive plan, which they would like me to ask for our next, to be established on the next agenda for the town board to give the plan commission direction as to what they'd like us to do as far as update or.
Okay. Just for my information, when did we last do that?
2009 in March.
2009,
and so
okay.
it has to be updated by state statute every 10 years.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Well, yes, you can ask her about her report.
But haven't we been updating it?
Yes.
Yes, and we have been updating it along the way with, as an example, the agricultural property being rezoned, or, so we've been updating it along the line. However, there are some things that, when we went to the meeting, that they suggested that we review, because some things can be obsolete. Towns change as our town has grown. The demographics have changed, so these are all things that need to be updated.
So if there is an approval made, then the county has to approve it also? If that's at 10-year, as we go through the same process, is that what that's all about?
No, I don't believe that the county actually has to approve it. I believe that they have to be, it's issued to them so that they know.
I think in the past, Patty, when we did the county had to accept it. The city of Wisconsin Rapids had to accept it. In other words, they had a chance to review it, and if they were not in favor of something, they still had the opportunity to speak about it. And I think we had to have public hearings, if I remember right.
Yes, indeed, we do.
Yeah, okay. All right, so anything else at the Plan Commission?
Question on.
Go ahead.
So what's the time frame on getting that updated and that? Is that a long process? Is that a?
Well, yeah. They say generally the timeline is approximately 2 years, because, and that's another thing that we want to do is go out and get some ballpark figures as far as the cost for updating the comprehensive plan. Now, we have 3 different places that we're gonna get a request for a proposal. Not a, just a ballpark figure, it's nothing, once we decide which avenue we want to go, we'll get a firm request. But they can go, I think the last time when it was updated in 2009, members that were involved in it said that they thought it cost around $3,000. However, it could go up as high as $50,000, depending on how in-depth that you want to go on this.
Okay.
So I think our Plan Commission is up to the challenge to do the majority of it. And then, of course, like Arnie had mentioned, that we do have to have, state statute says that the public has to be involved in it. And you have to have, your notices properly noted so that there's public input to it. So there is a whole state statute that regulates and directs you on how to accomplish this.
Okay.
I think our cost last time was relatively low because we had the county, and his name escapes me again, Bill, who am I thinking of, did most of the work.
I can tell you where.
Gary Pakalka did primarily all the work for us on the county side, and we were only billed for his hours, I believe it was, so. And he spent a lot of time on doing it, and it was pretty in-depth. So, all right, we'll consider that. Public buildings, anything?
We did do a little landscaping out front of the municipal building, and that got all taken care of here in the last couple of weeks. It's pretty good, but other than that, everything seems to be in good shape.
Got one thing for you, sir. Our 2 air conditioning units that we have out there, the one that is closest to the east side of continues to be the only one that ever runs.
Okay.
We were going to talk to the heating guy and see if he could reverse that cycle so the other one comes on
Yes.
first.
Yep.
Otherwise, we'll have one worn out unit and one brand new
Yeah,
unit.
and that's what he was gonna do, switch them. And
Yeah.
I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the same thing on the furnaces. I think primarily that one furnace is the only furnace that ever runs, because we seem to have the same unit run, so that would make sense that this condenser is hooked to that evaporator and one, so you might want to look and see if he can tweak it to make the one that's primary now make that the secondary and the other furnace the primary.
Okay.
Is that this building or the fair?
This
That's
building.
this building.
This building,
We put the new last year.
Anything else for public buildings? Legislative didn't meet yet, but we'll have some things coming up pretty soon.
Have you figured, date at all?
Quite frankly, no. I'm trying to figure out my schedule for the next couple of weeks and trying to find where I'll be available.
Okay.
Public safety,
Didn't meet.
economic development.
Go ahead, Bill.
We did have a waters committee. I did send you all, I believe, a copy of the agenda in the minutes. Is what the county seat committee is doing is sending out to all the municipalities. We did have a few extra people at the last one. I believe it was up to 22 people. And one of the things, we had a town chairman from the town of Seneca was there and indicated some, thought it was a very good meeting and said that they would be back, the town of Seneca. What the county is doing is trying to include all the county in it, and we're meeting with the Waters Committee from Portage County. They had one since 1987, a Public Waters Committee. So the next meeting is coming up here shortly. I don't have the date.
Okay. Other thing on economic development, I guess I was at a meeting and Laura from the is it CDC, is that what they call it?
CPB?
CPB, yeah, reported the economic impact of some events that were held in the Wisconsin Rapids or Grand Rapids area. The WIAA cross-country meet produces $1.9 million in local revenue. The WIAA gymnastic event produced $1.7 million. The water ski show weekend produces $1.5 million. The World Ski Show produced $1.9 million. The National BMX event that was held out here produced $1.3 million in additional revenues. It's pretty amazing, those numbers that they come up with. So I thought I'd share with you, everything is not dead in Wisconsin Rapids, Grand Rapids area. We are moving. Nothing else on that. We'll move to Personnel Committee. Anything?
Yes, actually, we've been fairly busy, busier than we normally have. First of all, I'd like to, I guess it was announced that our fire chief has retired and moved out of the area, and after 34 years of service, 5 years as full-time chief, I'd like to thank him for his service and wish him well on his new endeavor. He has been a longtime member of the department and an asset. With that being said, Personnel Committee has met, and we are reviewing the job description and the options that were brought to our attention for the replacement of the chief. I have, heard and wrote down all the ideas that have came to us, and we are researching. The safety director positions, and having a safety director and 2 assistants as we do right now. We're looking at other options. I guess the key that I want to really stress, and I think it's for everybody on this board, Arnie's over there more than any of us are, we need to understand and what that position entails. When we're doing our regular day-to-day work, we don't really understand what's going on over there, what that position entails. And that's what the first thing I'm trying to do when I'm working with both the assistant chiefs and a lot of the members. It isn't just those 2 who are stepping up and taking over some of the tasks. Chairman Nystrom is over there, and he's picking up a big portion of that. We have officers, we have firefighters who are also pitching in. Now, this isn't something that they're going to do all the time as their regular job duties, but they are willing to fill in until this board decides and what we're going to do. So, with that being said, we did meet and we talked about the leadership, and the Personnel Committee talked with leading the department will be the 2 assistant chiefs at this time until going forward. and I guess I am gonna address Mr. Clendenning here, because he apparently did have a conversation with a captain about leading the department, which was unauthorized in any way. We had just established who the leadership was, and I don't understand why you would go to him and ask him to run that department for 3 months. And he was quite upset about it, thought it was kind of a backdoor move, and maybe you can explain why.
I am not going to explain why I talked to someone.
So, but we are moving forward, and we will be meeting. They will be open to the public, so watch your announcements.
All right, anybody else questions on Public Personnel Committee? Not, the WTA meeting was at the town of Saratoga. Wasn't the most attended one. Obviously, there was a few legislators that are running for office were there to give their little speech. Boy, I can't think of much highlights, but what other highlights were there?
Well, Rick Coker was
Oh,
there.
Rick was-
And
yeah.
that was for Reggie. But the Towns Association reps talked about assessment of dark stores. And also, this was the time of the year for alcohol licensing. But one thing to consider around here, and there is one, is wedding barns, for the plan commission, wedding barns. And Nancy Vandermeer was there, Scott Krug was there, and also Pat Teston was there, so. And the conference for the state is going to be October 14th, 15th, and 16th, and it's going to be in Stevens Point.
Okay, anything else? If not, move to reports from individual board members. Amy, got anything over there?
I'm just getting numbers right now for the loan that we are taking out, and just reviewing that right now.
And we'll have a resolution next month then, right?
Right, correct.
Okay. Andrew, anything?
Nothing.
Lisa, Dodder? Nothing?
Nothing.
I have nothing this evening. Patty?
I just want to thank the Public Works. I had contacted them because some residents back in the area where I live, back by Auburn Avenue, were concerned about some of the blacktop breaking up and some tree limbs that were actually hanging into the road and swiping vehicles as they drove by. They took care of them right away, so.
Okay, sounds
Thanks for the
good.
public crew.
Okay. Daniel?
I got nothing.
William?
I would just like to speak about the fireworks. I got a couple of calls from Blueberry Lane on the night of it. I guess they were pretty bad over there. I don't know the outcome of it. And then, I think it was the Saturday before, that on 32nd Street, there was, and it indicated that the chairman of the town of Grand Rapids authorized fireworks there.
Nope, I did not. It was the chief of the fire department that authorized it. He has the authority, not me. In the absence of a fire chief, the town chairman can.
Well, I'd like to see where that changed. I didn't know that changed.
Yeah.
And I was the Farm Tech Days, and I don't know if the town got a notice, but I see many of the townships had pictures and stuff like that. Did we get asked to do anything like that?
I didn't receive anything on Farm Tech Days.
Town of Saratoga had sheets, Seneca, Siegel, a lot of them. I was just,
Little booths, or?
yeah, they had
Booths
big
up?
posters up there, a whole line in the barn.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. It seems like we get forgotten on a lot of things that we don't get information of. Just like this Highway 13 reconstruction, I was on the committee right from day number one. I never got notice that there was a pre-construction meeting coming. I just happened to call him that day and ask him, isn't that coming up pretty soon? And he says, yeah, it's in 25 minutes. So get your butt down there, he told me. So, I mean, I don't know where the communication goes.
That's all
Once in a while, we get nothing, so. If
Farm
nothing
Tech
else,
Days was hot.
item 15, any people in the audience wish to speak for additional 2 minutes? Hearing none, we'll move to establish next agenda item. You can contact me anytime, and
Put on the plan commission?
yeah.
Okay.
And item 17 adjourns. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Andrew, seconded by
I'll second that.
Daniel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Thank you very much, folks.